Welcome back, ladies and gents, to another episode of Behind the Tent. I'm your host, Chris Strom, coming at you live from his in-house studio in Pensacola, Florida. Today's episode is brought to you by Pelican Home Solutions. If you have any type of problem with your home that needs to be taken care of, whether it be remodeling, roofing, painting, flooring, tile, the guys at Pelican Home Solutions, Daniel Elliott, would be happy to take care of you. On today's episode of Behind the Tent, we are going to be discussing a fuel shortage. Now, I was hired by this client. Let's see. I was hired by this client to do surveillance on their yard. These are the people that drive the big 18-wheelers around town and fill up all your gas stations. Yeah, and they have a whole yard full of like 30 vehicles, like 18-wheelers, big tanker trucks. Well, over the past year at that time, they had a fuel shortage of more than $2 million. They didn't know where it was going because the numbers weren't adding up with the trucks and how much they were dropping off and taking in, and something was wrong. So they hired me to do surveillance. I remember the very first night of surveillance, I wanted to be all super aggressive and get up inside one of the trucks in the yard. So that's what I did. I did surveillance. I went inside the yard, got up inside one of the trucks. They gave me the keys to one of their trucks. I climbed up in the cab to do surveillance. And as I'm doing surveillance that night, I don't know what it was, but something was saying, Chris, this is not a good idea. And usually when my instinct tells me that, it's right. And so it was a horrible night of surveillance. I'll never forget that night. I almost got busted several times. And I was like, nope, I'm going to be doing any future surveillance from outside of the property. So that's what I did. Set up shop, did surveillance outside of the property. The next day, didn't get anything. A couple days went by, didn't get nothing. One night I was out there, I saw somebody walking around in the yard. So I pulled my camera out, started shooting videos, started taking pictures. I was like, what is he doing? And then, as I was paying attention more and watching what he was doing, he was taking 55-gallon drums, 55-gallon drums, and putting them in the back of his pickup truck. And he was filling them with diesel fuel from the yard that is supposed to go into the 18-wheelers. And he was leaving and going somewhere with it. So, as that's happening, I'm sitting here thinking, where are we going? He ends up leaving. I end up following him to see where he goes. He goes to a storage facility several miles away from the yard, somewhere off of Highway 29 in Pensacola. And I'm able to pull outside of the storage facility because it was an outside, storage place. And I was able to get a clear shot of where he was, where his storage unit was. When he parked his truck, he goes to the storage door, and you see him unlock it, and he opens the door. When he opened that door, my face was just like, oh my God, what is going on? Because what I saw inside that storage facility was rows 3 high, like 55-gallon drum, 55-gallon drum, 55-gallon drum, 3 high, going all throughout the inside. This is a huge storage unit. Nothing but 55-gallon drums of fuel. And I'm sitting here thinking, what is he doing with this? So I call the client. The client is thrilled at this point. And they told me to go ahead and call the police. So that's what I did. I called the Escambia County Sheriff's Department. I told them who I was, what I was doing, and what I had just observed. And the next thing you know, there's, 10 Escambia County Tahoes all at the storage facility, and then all these other like the FBI got involved, ATF got involved, Homeland Security was involved. And I'm thinking, what what did I just do? What did I just bust here? Like, what is going on? And I remember talking to the sheriffs, and they asked me if I could come downtown for questioning. And I was like, sure, no big deal. And then I started seeing all these like crime scene technicians like arrive on scene and stuff. I'm like, what is going on? So they take me downtown. They're questioning me. As they're questioning me, or as they're bringing me in, you're walking through the sheriff's department. All of a sudden, they bring him in, the guy, and he walked right past me, and they took him to jail to book. But I remember thinking, wow, what's going on? They told me that the people at my client told them about the fuel shortage. Turns out he had been selling these 55-gallon drums of diesel fuel on the black market to local contractors around the area. And I don't know who they were or anything like that. I just got him going from point A to point B. And I remember them, telling me about what happened. The client was freaking thrilled. And for me, it was the biggest bust I ever had. It was like 2.1513, something like that, $1 million. And my client wanted to give me a Rolex. And I was like, I'd love a Rolex, but I'd rather have the cash. And he's like, you want the cash? I said, sure. Gave me $12,000. It was a great bonus for working that case. But, man, like Homeland Security, the FBI, they didn't know what was going on. They just knew that there was a storage unit full of 55-gallon barrel drums of diesel fuel. Was he using it for a bomb? Was he using it for, what was he using it for? So that is the story of my biggest dollar bust ever. It made the news. Of course, my name wasn't disclosed. But it was cool to be like recognized like that, honored, pat myself on the back. That client has remained a client ever since that point, and I really appreciate that as well. So that will conduct this episode of Behind the Tint. I want to thank everybody that has stepped up to offer me advice on what I'm doing with my podcast. I appreciate the sponsors that I have that are stepping up. I'm trying to fine-tune this project right now, doing different things. So I appreciate everybody's support, and I hope everybody has a great night. Good night, y'all. Peace.